in school. You started sketching, you did not know that it was going to take you to where you are at today. Will you say that it is that love for arts that eventually took you into the world of fashion? Because you could have gone elsewhere, you could have practiced your art in another form.
Yes. In life, they say water naturally find level. What I'm doing today is I will say, boldly say it with all sense of humility. I'm called to do fashion. I dream, sleep, everything I do is about fashion. And as a designer, you must know how to create. You must be creative. You must know how to illustrate. That has really helped me a lot. Illustration is key to fashion designing. Yeah.
You started fashion in the early 90s, about 93. Yes, you started your fashion industry in the year 1993. Looking at that journey, take us through it till from where you started, because I've heard a lot really about how you started, but we want to hear it from you. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
I started in 1993, September to be precise. When two of my friends asked me to go into fashion design, I was a bit confused because it didn't occur to me to go into fashion. But inside me, illustration is part of my life. So what I did is, that's okay. So I approached an established tailor around K2 then, my neighborhood. So I talked to the man. So it's possible I want to learn cutting, learn much about sewing. He said something to me. He said, that would be nice because even in this neighborhood, we all know you that you dress well. So come. So I approached him. I wrote for 6 months. During that 6 months, what I did then is I printed complimentary card. I go from office to office. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I go different offices, share my complimentary card. My friends I knew back in Delta, who were in Lagos then. Okay. So, but Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I go for training. So after that 6 months, I wasn't too satisfied. So I added additional 3 months to get more training. The rest is history. So I started working. I working from my room then in K2.
K2.
Yes. Face me, I face you, they call it face. So working from my room, I was able to trying to raise money to get my first shop then. It wasn't easy. Things were rough. Luckily for me, I met ROMD.
That's Richard Mufeda.
Yes. Before issue of the shop came up. So I approached him. I just opened up to him. I said, bros, I want to get a shop. I need you to assist me. He said, okay. I should check him, give him time. Then he just finished his movie, Out of Bound.
Okay.
He spent so much money on the movie. So I should give him time. I actually gave him time. There was no phone. I'll go to his office. He will say, oh, Moody, okay, I promise you, come tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow. I'll say, oh, check me next week. I'll go next week, check me Friday, until he gave me the money. The day he gave me the money, he said something I will never forget, very touching. Maybe he said it out of experience. He said, this Moody, this money I give you so, I don't want to regret it. Yes. I said, no, bros. No, we are all from Warri. Most time we discuss more business.
Yes, you use your street lingo.
Yes. I said, bro, no, not give me the money. Give it to your junior brother. Let him go and pay with your name. So they paid 47,000 naira.
Wow.
We paid 2 years on his name.
Your basic instinct is just to say, let me help him so that he can be on his feet. What he does with that thereafter is entirely up to him. But help you must, or assist you must. So you don't really project and see and say to yourself, I know this one will be a big superstar one day. If you look for that criteria, you probably won't help anybody because you probably won't see it. You can't see it. At that early stage when the person can hardly string two things together or two pennies together, you can't see it. So you don't. That's not the motivation. It's not whether he will become this global brand someday. It is more of so that he can succeed at what he does. So at least he can have a fair chance to succeed at what he does.
were starting out, when friends advised you, that since you're good enough in sketches and all of that, go into fashion, did you ever see Mudiaga then as Moody Africa today, looking at what you've been able to achieve?
No. But right from time, I grew with that it is possible mentality. I never want to use that word, I will make them. It's a sign of arrogance, though. I don't use I will make them. It is possible. That have really helped me a lot. That
So
it is
for you,
possible.
nothing is impossible.
It is possible. Just keep working. Most times I use myself as an example that hard work pays. Hard work pays. You go through pain to survive, but at the end of the day, you will smile. And when you say achievement might not be naira and kobo, but you fulfill it. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I'm touching lives. That is the value of what I do. I attach too much value to what I do. Yeah.
Now, Moody Africa today is a fashion brand that is known not just in Nigeria, but across the West African frontiers, and you've even conquered beyond Africa. What inspired you to take fashion out of Nigeria, especially at that time when Nigerian fashion was hardly known anywhere? But you took that bold step, being the first Nigerian designer to take Nigerian designs out of this country. What was it that inspired you, that gave you that confidence or that impetus to take it out?
Fashion is universal. Once something is good, if it doesn't speak language, it's good, people buy. There was something a man said to me. I went to Nairobi, Kenya. Before I come to the question you asked me. I was at the airport, filling immigration form. And a woman just walked up to me, a Kenyan. I said, good evening. I said, good evening, man. Are you Moody, the fashion designer in Nigeria? I said, yes. Oh, my husband buy your clothes. I have a shop in Nairobi. Oh, let me call him. He just called the husband. And we discussed. The man was so happy. That day I felt very good because that shows that I'm touching lives in different parts of country. So that for me is like a joy to me. So beyond the money I'm making, and above all, I'm equally added value to my country. It's a good image. And so what actually prepared me to move my brand outside Nigeria? 1999, in 2009, I was invited to Ghana by Ambassador Musli Obanikoro. He was ambassador to Ghana then. Yes. They did a party for him to host him. I was invited. He personally invited me. So I was there for 2 nights. So at the party, I saw people wear what they wore. I said, no, there's a market here. So I took time, went around the town with a taxi. I just saw that there's a market here. So I would just approach him. I opened up to him, said, sir, Your Excellency, I need to open a shop here. He gave me the go-ahead. He said, Moody, I will encourage you. The embassy will surely give you backing. Make sure you get everything done properly. So I got a lawyer, registered my business first, got an auditor, then I got a first shop, started working.
I encouraged him to look beyond the shores of Nigeria. So when I became an ambassador, it was very easy for me to invite him. I invited him to come over, and he did. And in the course of his visitation, I took him to President Kufuor, who was then the president. And I introduced him, and I told President Kufuor to give the young man a chance by patronizing him. And he did. And from there, he came back to me and told me that he wanted to have a branch within Accra. And I encouraged him. I made some provisions for him in terms of transportation and assistance, in terms of a tour guide. So eventually, Moody was able to put things together, and he opened a branch in Accra during my tenure as High Commissioner. And I also did not disappoint him by ensuring that most of my colleagues were also on hand during the opening ceremony to support him. He's an individual you can used as a good example of what Nigerian spirit is all about. Because when you see a young man who is not ready to cut corners, his focus is how to use his God-given talent to better himself and also to showcase to the whole world what Africans can do in terms of fashion.
In 2010, the same process I applied in Nairobi. I went to Nairobi on holidays. I went around town. Just saw a shop. Immediately from the airport. You know, there's this what they call it third eye. Anything you do, you must have that third eye. Anywhere I go to, if I see there's a market, I know. So I just went around town. The following morning, I went to the Nigerian embassy in Kenya. I met with the ambassador. I opened up to him that I'm here for a mission. He said the same thing Obanikoro said to me years back. Moody, right from Nigeria, I've heard the name Moody. You're not a stranger here. And he said something very remarkable. He said, Moody, in this country, we need people like you to come and redeem our country's image. There are a lot of people who are giving us bad name in this country. But please, come. You come in, it will be like a positive thing to our image. So he gave me the back end. At the same process, I got a lawyer, an auditor, I opened a shop, it was commission. The same process, that same 2010,
Yes.
I opened the same process. I moved to South Africa. The same process, I went to Pretoria, I met Buba Mawa, our ambassador then. He gave me the same procedure. They got me a lawyer, registered, I got a shop.
But were you not scared that you were going into uncharted waters? Especially going by the fact that back then, we grew up with the notion that clothes from outside Nigeria were better off. And Nigerian fashion wasn't really known worldwide like that. So were you not scared?
I wasn't scared. You know, one thing, anything you do, you must believe in yourself. It's key. Self-confidence is very important. I know what God has blessed me with. I know what I have inside. So by the grace of God, the willpower, the determination, discipline, above all, the focus, I feel can take me anywhere.
Is it not about being a Delta boy? Because you see, the average Delta or Warri boy believes he can conquer anywhere he goes, even if he doesn't have a dime in his pocket.
No, with all sense of humility, I would say yes. But the other way around is a Nigerian thing.
Okay.
We are all determined to succeed. Most times the environment you walk from, at times you get scared, get frightened with things you see every day, distraction, but you must remain focused.
Nigerian fashion has grown in leaps and bounds over the years, and somehow we seem to have taken the world by storm in the sense of, the contemporary nature of our fashion. What do you think has brought this to bear?
Not only the fashion industry, music,
yes,
comedy,
specific
movie.
Yes.
But let me come to the issue of the fashion. You know, one thing that really helped us is diversity.
Okay.
Igbos are coming with their concepts, Rivers, South, Yorubas, Hausas, the Middle Belt. So we have a lot to inspire us, which is key. Unlike other countries where what they have is just one tribe, Nigeria has different tribes. It's really helping us. And above all, we are very determined people. We are very, try to upwardly mobile people, and we're very fashion conscious people. That alone drives the imagination, drives the competition, drives quality. And because we've come a long way, we've tried.
Yes.
If you check the things I made 15 years ago compared to what I make now, there's so much difference. What is demand, there's bound to be competition, there's bound to be quality. The more, the better.
How would you describe your own kind of, that's Moody Africa line of clothing? It looks like you cater to just the men. But what kind of clothing line do you offer?
My clothes are Afrocentric, formal and informal. The clothes I make is with slippers, you can look casual. With shoes, you call dressy. It depends on your mood. So they cut across. That's why it's easier for me to penetrate into other African countries. Not the typical Nigerian traditional outfits. Very retro. What you can wear to anywhere. Depends on the mood.
On the mood. Why do you cater to just the men folk alone?
I used to make for females, but I stopped about 10 years ago.
Why?
I want to focus on the men. There are designers that make for only women.
Yes.
So I want to focus on the men so I can understand the man body chemistry.
Yeah, you're a man.
Yeah.
So you already understand the man's body chemistry.
No. If a man walk into my office, even without taking measurement, I can determine your size. And above all, I want to focus. There's a lot of distraction when you start making for women. Sorry, with due respect.
I was waiting for you to say that.
So with due respect, but there's so much pressure. I want to focus on the men alone. Okay. And there's so much sanity for me.
When you look at your journey over the years, you started in 1993 and you have come so far. In spite of the never say die spirit which you have had, I'm sure that there have been some times that maybe you almost wanted to call it quits with challenges. How has it been? Let us into some major challenges that you have encountered in your journey.
There's never a day I had the mind of quitting. Why? Because passion is what you do with so much passion. The money might not come, but you're happy. But there are two particular moments I will never forget. My first shop, I got through RMD. When the rent expired, trying to raise money to renew the rent. I went to a friend, it's like a senior friend, to loan me how much then? I needed about 20,000 naira to add to what I had then to pay to renew the rent. Because I couldn't go back to RMD now. So he said something that we never, he said, Moody, forget this work. This work will not pay you.
Wow.
And he mentioned about 5 designers in Nigeria. I don't want to mention their names here. Who he was referring to. Those people, they're not making money now. Moody, you have style, you have talent, you dress well, you have taste. Don't worry. I have a friend who goes to Italy to bring in clothes. I will link him up to you, link him with you guys so you can take clothes for him and sell. You make more money than designing clothes. Tears, you know why? Because I went to him for a different reason, trying to discourage me.
Yes.
One. Then another time, the struggling moment, another time to struggle. A friend of mine, he saw me at the bus stop. I was going to deliver clothes on the island from Antony. He saw me by the bus stop. I had about 2 carrier bags. Somebody, wow, this work. When you want to buy a car from this work.
Wow.
And he said it.
That's
like
deep.
a question, yes. Somebody, which year you want to buy a car from this work? But that, my friend, today we still relate.
And he has seen what God has done for you.
He's happy. We're still, where we grew up together in Delta, so we all moved to Lagos. The question was very touching, but...
So those were times that you really felt low in your spirit, but you decided to forge ahead.
That it is possible.
You started in K2, and we've heard about, how you always went around then with your sketch pad, and even when people could not afford to make clothes, you will go to the page of the sketch on the sketch pad that has boxes to want to convince anyone to buy. Looking at that place where you started from, did it in any way influence the kind of fashion the kind of fashion line that you have today?
No. The only thing that I gained from that's
A one-room apartment
Yes,
also.
yes. Contentment and hard work.
All right. Maybe for our viewers to get a better understanding of what we're talking about, let's meet one or two people who actually knew Moody from way back when he just started in that one-room apartment back there in Ketu. Let's get to see them.
He has fantastic attitude, friendly, very humble, and he had good relationship with my late husband, who was the landlord. Everyone in the area can attest to his exemplary character.
Moody Aga, like I often call him, meaning stand well. He's a friend, a very good friend, good enough to be a brother. He's an adopted spiritual son of my dad, so we are more like brothers. My mom had a provision shop where Moody used to shop. He would meet us there as guys, we'll greet, gist, and before you say 3-4 sentences, Moody, who always moved around with a sketch pad, his sketch pad, would open his sketch pad and show you sketches, drawings of designs of attires and outfits and stuff that he expects you to patronize him on. And anytime he saw that you couldn't afford any of that, he would flip to another page where there were basically boxers, so that you had to buy one thing or the other from within his collection. That was how we basically knew within the area.
The program is still Executive Discuss, and we have just seen the roots from where Moody Africa took off. Back to our discussion now, Moody. I mean, that was quite interesting, knowing that you started from that one-room apartment and the house still stands. Wow, that's interesting. Looking at you, looking at your business, your line, your clothing line over the years, how affordable is Moody Africa?
My clothes are affordable. There's this perception, is it perception or how would I put it? People, clothes are very expensive. I tell people that anything you do, once you do it well, put a price tag. I won't tell you my clothes are made for the elite alone. No, I won't tell you I'm made for, I just put my price tag. If you can afford.
You put your price tag, but we know that Moody clothes the likes of kings. I mean, you clothe the king in Morocco, you clothe ambassadors, you clothe the high and mighty. So maybe for the average person, they might say Moody is not so affordable after all.
You know, madam, there's a market for everybody. Like Rolls Royce, they're known for quality cars. If you can afford Rolls Royce, if you go to that shop, they won't tell you whether you are a bricklayer or you are a carpenter. If you can pay, you pay, take your Rolls Royce. At the end of the day, what you are buying is of quality. It's what matters. Because if you buy an outfit for a low price, you get to, maybe you go home, not well made, you will forget the price. But if you buy it, no matter how expensive, and you're happy with what you bought, you'll be happy, you forget the price. What matters more is quality, and good things don't come easy.
In your line of business, I know that oftentimes designers, tailors usually have high turnover of workers, of staff who work with them. And this can be challenging. How have you been able to maintain your workforce over the years? Because I spoke with some of your staff and they've been with you since like forever. How have you been able to maintain your staff strength over all these years?
I think one thing that really helped me is people say humility. Just be practical, be yourself. This environment, unfortunately, it's difficult to be yourself. Any day my staff are working all night, I work with them. Part of discipline.
You stay with them.
I stay with them. Because it's a double, it's like it, how would I put it? Double M. You're monitoring, you're motivating. 7 o'clock, I'm in the office. There are times, if I walk through the workshop and the thread fall off from the machine, I pick it and give to the tailor. He doesn't take anything from me. Because you're making them feel as you appreciate them, they're human. And just do your best to them, because they have conscience, difficult to hurt you. Do your best and leave the rest to God. I'm not perfect. I have my own challenges, but what I do is I'll treat you as a human being. So long you're giving me what I want from you, I'm okay. I'll treat you as a human being. And that's what most times we lack it in this country, because we try to intimidate, oppress and impress people.
Still talking about the Nigerian fashion industry, which has continued to grow in leaps and bounds. I mean, we're so contemporary and Afrocentric that a Nigerian can walk into any shop or any event anywhere in the world. What has helped to keep your level of creativity going by the fact that every day we have emerging fashion designers who are bringing something new to the table? What is it that has kept Moody Africa going strong?
You said something that I'm an artist. And as an artist, you must keep inventing. You must keep thinking. I think a lot. That's one thing. I can be with you now, be just but my mind is gone. I think a lot. And the day I stop thinking, that will be the end of Moody. Because you must keep coming out with ideas. Because the market is waiting for something fresh.
Yes. On a daily basis, I know that Moody is a very busy man. But take us through what your day entails. What time does your day start? How does it start? What do you do? And take us through the rest of the day.
Normally what I do, I go to bed, depends on my schedule. If I wake up in the morning, 5:30, at times I wake up 4:30, 4:45, depends on my mood. Any day I'm under pressure, maybe I have so many things to work on. I wake up by 5:30, pray, thank God for another day, take my water, do a little bit of aerobic in the house, or do a workout within my estate, take a glass of water, then shower, go to work. I leave my home 6:45 every day. And I get to the office 7 o'clock. I drive against traffic. Yeah.
Okay.
So 15 pounds, check what I'm going to do for that day, put everything in place. Then we do our normal prayer in the office. Then we open to customers. Work till when I close 6 o'clock.
And you work Mondays through?
Friday.
Okay.
You say maybe once a while, if I have Saturday pressure work, I go to Saturday work.
All right. Looking at you and having spoken to a few people about you, two things have stood out actually. One is the fact that people have said your Moody is a humble person. And another that has stood out is the fact that you believe in God. Like probably your belief in God has kept you going for this long. What's your take on that?
Let me start from the issue of humility. When people say Moody is humble, I take it as a compliment. But what I begin to wonder is that how come people lay emphasis on humility? It's only in Nigeria where we emphasize more of humility. I'm just this is me. I'm just playing my role as a human being. So why must I be arrogant? Because the opposite of humility is arrogance. Why must I be arrogant? I think let me put it in a very soft way. I don't know, maybe it's a Nigerian thing that we're becoming a bit too arrogant. Which is someone who is just real. Say that person is humble. Humility to me is a way of life. It's like, for instance, we have 10 of us in a room. Then about 9, maybe in the morning, they won't have the bath, just wear and go out. But the particular guy out of the 10 who bath in the morning, so that guy is very clean. He's supposed to bath in the morning. It's a way of life.
It's a way of life.
Yes, humility to me. Why must I be arrogant? Why?
And your belief in God?
Apart from being a Christian, I know I entered this world. God brought me to this world to perform my own duty. And I thank God for health, good life, talent. I believe so much in God. God first for me before any other thing.
What are your likes and dislikes?
Let me start from
Apart from
let me
fashion.
start from dislike.
Okay.
I can't stand people that are lazy. I can't stand lazy people. Shit, no. If you are lazy and you are dirty, no. I can't stand. Two things that put me off.
Laziness,
And two things that actually helped me is, they said it's in the Bible, cleanliness is next to godliness. Hard work pays.
So those are your dislikes.
Yes.
What does Moody like?
I like life. I like life generally. I like life. Life is good. All the things we are seeing now is all by God. The clothes I make is God gives the talent to create it. So I cherish anything. I like good life.
Well, we have been speaking with Moody Africa, as he's popularly known. It's still executive discuss, but let's take a break now. We will talk to a few people also who have known Moody. He has mentioned one or two names here, so we wouldn't be doing justice to this particular episode of the program if we do not bring those people to you. Let's find out who Moody is to other people, seeing other parts of him.
I think he's very Afrocentric. That's the good thing about his work, which is why he's Moody Africa, not just Nigeria. And you can, his friends, most of his friends are cut across Francophone countries and the Anglophone. Moody is so Afrocentric to the point where his holidays are within, very small and exotic places in Africa. I usually just envy how he manages to find time to integrate himself with Africa, and that has helped him establish in major African cities because he has friends across these places. And so, for me, that's the mark of his own entrepreneurial spirit. I just wish him, bigger successes in the future.
We experience those things that people do in secondary schools, especially in boys' school, and all boys' school, And Moody was quite a very unassuming person.
So today we'll be taking the chairman's remarks. We'll take updates from we'll take the technical updates, and if there are other updates from the ministers, we'll bring them to the podium to speak with us before we take on your questions and answer. So let me invite the chairman at this point to the podium for his remarks. Mr. Chairman, sir.
Honorable Ministers, members of the Presidential Task Force, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, apologizing for the late commencement of this briefing. The PTF meeting started quite late too because of other conflicting engagements for the day. And to further apologize for our inability to brief the nation yesterday. We came out of the negotiations with Labour extremely late, and that took a toll on invariably most of the ministers that participated. And we couldn't quite sort ourselves out, but we are glad that at least the strike action has been suspended, and that has allowed even those of you that are sitting here to be able to come to work. And we wish to express the gratitude of the government and the people of Nigeria to the leadership of the organized labor, the NLC and the TUC, for the high level of patriotism exhibited in the course of the negotiations and eventual resolutions of the matters that necessitated the industrial action that was being declared. We will continue with the pursuit of the negotiations and make sure that all the issues that have been identified and the things that need to be done are done within the given 2 weeks, so that the committee will report back to the negotiating parties for final determination with respect to exactly the rise in the...
We have to rely on fabric from abroad. It's unfortunate, but nothing we can do for now, pending when things will change.
But there are still a few factories that produce.
There are, but most times they focus on Ankara. We do use Ankara as well, but we have to use different fabrics. Fabric from abroad.
From
And
outside.
all Nigerians and in particular our media partners over our inability to update you for 2 consecutive briefing days. Like I said, this was due to other exigencies associated with governance and activities lined up for the 60th independence anniversary of our great nation, Nigeria. As you are already aware, Nigeria is celebrating the 60th anniversary of our independence, and the PTF has already announced to you all that testing will be ramped up through the National Week of Testing. I urge everyone to brace up for the program and mobilize members of the community as well. Testing is the only way to detect, isolate, trace, and treat. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has already issued an advisory on the consequences of not testing enough. The numbers are dropping when we compare on month-to-month basis, but we will still have to be vigilant. Health is a shared responsibility on the concurrent list, and as partners in the fight against COVID-19, we urge subnational entities to tread on the side of caution by increasing the rate of testing in their jurisdictions. We desire the support of institutions, particularly religious, socio-cultural, traditional, etc., to insist on in-depth engagement at community levels, especially in observing the protocols. Developments with testing around the world have been very encouraging as technology improves. We are pleased to receive the news of the partnership driven by the WHO to roll out 120 million effective rapid test tools capable of providing reliable results in 30 minutes rather than hours. It will help to reach distant communities where laboratories are not located, and will help in cutting down the response time that medical personnel need to commence treatment. Nigeria continues to partner with the WHO and shall certainly be part of the early beneficiaries of the rollout when it commences. Nigeria is also contributing to the global effort in the diagnosis of COVID-19 through our research institutes, led by the Nigeria Institute for Medical Research. The PTF will be updating you as we make progress in this particular discovery. We note with sadness that the global community just crossed an unenviable milestone when COVID-19 related fatalities surpassed the 1 million mark. It has taken only 8 months for over 33 million persons to be infected and 1 million fatalities to be recorded in almost all countries and territories of the world. These numbers underscore the seriousness of the pandemic and should help to determine how not to lower our guards. Before I round up, let me remind all Nigerians that like our Diamond Anniversary celebration, the COVID-19 has made year 2020 a most significant year for us in Nigeria. We need to do all we can to survive it, and we have the solutions in our hands. And the solutions are simple. The non-pharmaceutical interventions that have been put in place, wearing of masks in open spaces, maintaining social distancing, take heed to personal hygiene and the use of hand sanitizers, and if need be, avoid large gatherings. That behoves on us, that each and every one of us must take responsibility. I now call on the Honorable Minister of State Health and the DG Nigerian Center for Disease Control and the National Coordinator to provide us with updates. I thank you for your kind attention and have a very pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman of the Presidential Task Force, my colleagues, media representatives here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. A total of 58,460 confirmed cases have been recorded as of today, 29th day of September 2020. With 49,895 cases treated and discharged. This result is from a total of 509,555 persons tested for COVID-19. Sadly, the number of deaths arising from the disease now stands at 1,111. From the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. We currently have 7,454 active cases which are being managed at home or in treatment centers, with about half of them in Lagos State alone. The number of active cases has continued to drop, consistent with the general trend in Africa. We will continue to revise our discharge criteria in line with new knowledge of the disease, even as we continue to strengthen our case management pillar to provide effective and efficient quality care to all those who test positive, whether they're in our facilities or in home care. As business and schools begin to open, and as travels begin to pick up, we fear that we may have a surge in the number of cases unless we scale up surveillance and review our response plan to integrate new ways to deal with the disease. In line with this, the Nigeria Institute of Medical Research has developed a molecular test for COVID-19 that can give results in less than 40 minutes. It is the SARS-CoV-2 isothermal molecular assay, SIMA, which can be performed by low-skilled personnel with minimum training. The rollout will be very soon, as announced by the chairman of the PTF. This test, which is 10 times cheaper than the PCR, can be deployed for point-of-care detection and surveillance. The technique, which was developed by Dr. Chika Uwama, will be deployed for use as soon as it is validated by the relevant agencies of the ministry for specificity and sensitivity. I commend the management of Nigeria Institute of Medical Research, led by Professor Salako, and particularly Dr. Wama, for this laudable breakthrough. I also extend the appreciation of the federal government to the Faith Philanthropy Coalition for COVID-19 Support Fund for funding the project. And particularly, I thank the chairman of that coalition in the person of Fola Adiola. Government will continue to support every genuine initiative that contributes to our response plan. On Friday, 25th September 2020, we had the privilege of performing the commissioning and handing over of the Infectious Disease Center at the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, which is purpose-built infectious disease treatment center as part of the commitment of the federal government to providing the necessary infrastructure and resources for infectious disease management. It will go a long way towards improving our capacity to respond to all infectious diseases. It is a fallback facility which we do not have to put to use if we observe all necessary preventive measures such as wearing face masks, observing respiratory hygiene, and physical distancing. In addition, we also need to ensure that we test and isolate all those with symptoms that suggest COVID-19. This morning, the top management committee of the Federal Ministry of Health played host to the Victims Support Fund, who are the ministry to officially present some IT equipment to the Federal Ministry of Health to boost technical capacity of personnel to support our response to the pandemic. The Victim Support Fund has been supporting the Ministerial Expert Advisory Committee on COVID-19. We wish to use this opportunity to thank General T.Y. Danjuma and the management of the Victim Support Fund for the initiative. We recall that the fund has also supported the NCDC as well. We shall again renew our appeal to the state governments to continue to ensure that we step up case findings, sample collection, and testing. It is only by testing that we can identify those with infection for isolation and treatment. This is the only way we can truly halt the spread of the disease and confirm that we have actually contained the pandemic. Our goal is to have at least one standard infectious disease center in every state. We shall therefore work with the states to establish purpose-built treatment centers that will ensure we are better prepared for infectious disease outbreaks in the country. I thank you for your kind attention.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chair of the Presidential Task Force, Honorable Ministers of Health, Directors, colleagues, gentlemen of the press. Our social media platforms have been abuzz with issues related to the Nigeria International Travel Platform. So I decided to use this opportunity to address some of these issues. But I think the first thing we need to do is to cast our minds back to March 2020, early this year, when we were faced with a situation where people coming back from Nigeria through our airports were seeding infections into our country. And there was a clamor from Nigerians to shut the airports as quickly as possible. This was a very difficult decision for our country, for Mr. President, for the aviation industry. But we made this important decision. And it turns out that that decision, actually, to shut down our airports at that point, must have really prevented a large number of infections coming into Nigeria, and the number of seedings of people were limited to those that came through in those early months of the year when we were not sure of what was going on. So by carrying out decisive action under the instructions of Mr. President, we were indeed able to protect Nigeria from a much worse outbreak than it witnessed. Fast forward to September this year. We're again faced with a situation where we had limited the number of infections, but the economy of our country was now suffering, and we really had to make that hard decision. And then lots of people also predicted that the reopening of our airports would lead to a spike of infections, that we would be back to where we were 6 months ago, and that we would experience an upsurge of infections. But because of the very diligent work of my colleagues, especially the aviation industry, we've had a very deliberate, very careful, very calibrated reopening of our airports. And anyone that would have gone through those airports